At 4:29 on May 6, 1975, Omaha made national news. The sky was falling.
My pickup was across the street upside down next to the neighbor's house, and then my house swung across in front of my pickup. So it was just like somebody dropped a bomb and blew the whole thing apart.
Join News Center 3's Tom Bavakwa for a look back 10 years to the historic tornado, its victims, and advancements since then. 6 p.m. Sunday on KMTV 3.
Around 4:45 p.m., May 6th, 1975. We're looking south from the Crossroads Shopping Center. It's an awesome sight. One of the largest and most destructive tornadoes to ever strike an urban area is just seconds away. In a period of less than 30 minutes, a thriving Omaha was converted into a disaster area. It was here 10 years ago at 132nd Q where the tornado's fury was first felt. From this point, it moved almost due east along Q Street. A few minutes later, it reached the intersection of 84th and L. It caused considerable damage to the businesses at the intersection. But from this point, it was now heading in a northeasterly direction. Unaware of what was happening just to the south of here, thousands of people were placing their bets at Ak-Sar-Ben. By 4:40, however, the view to the west turned horrifying. Around 9 miles and a half an hour later, the storm finally lifted in Benson. During the morning of May 6, 1975, there were a few weather conditions that suggested the potential for severe weather later in the day. George Matuella, expert radar technician for the National Weather Service in Omaha, explains.
It was a very warm, hazy day. It was very humid. We had a fresh breeze from the southeast to the southwest, and you just knew there was something in the air. It was a potential was there. Mm-hmm. And the forecasters were talking about it the evening before.
But in reality, this kind of day is not very unusual for our region during mid-spring. On that day, a tornado watch was issued shortly after noon, but the Omaha area experiences several tornado watches every year. But later in the afternoon, thunderstorms began building to the west, and numerous localities reported heavy rain and local street flooding.
Somewhere around 2:30, 3 o'clock, we had some reports of hail and some strong winds, and we checked them out, and there were some pretty good thunderstorms down there, and I think we issued a severe thunderstorm warning around 3:15 or something like that for about an hour and 15 minutes.
Was that based on observations or what you were seeing on radar?
That was based mostly on observations and verified on radar and from REACT and from the spotters.
And then it happened. George Matuella suddenly became a very busy man.
Around 4 o'clock, things starting to get pretty hot and heavy, getting all kinds of severe weather reports, and I was checking the southwest edge of the screen, and my other colleague was checking the western Iowa section of the screen, and I just happened to stop the antenna on what I thought was a very suspicious-looking cell, although I was shooting through the thunderstorm all the way down into southwest Omaha. I just happened to stop it at the right spot, and I picked up what was the beginning of the what we call a vault. It was a debris clear area, like a vacuum, and there it was, just like a little snake on my screen. And ironically, or to good luck at the time, one of the spotters at the same time saw a funnel develop.
By 4:30, the tornado roared into the southwest corner of the city. In fact, there could have been more than one funnel. The main storm moved along near Q Street in the Applewood Golf Course area, where it damaged an apartment complex, and then a residential area known as Bay Meadows.
Went in the basement with 2 cushions off our couch and went behind our closet and kept the kids down with the cushions. And I felt them moving, and I hung on, and I felt the closet and everything coming down on me, but I just kept my kids down so they wouldn't be afraid. And then when it was all over, I looked up and there wasn't any house.
From there, it crossed Q Street and severely damaged the Wentworth apartments. Now it turned more northeasterly near 84th Street, striking homes and businesses, and it hit hard at 84th and L, severely damaging Grandmother's Restaurant, the Ralston Bank, and H&H Chevrolet. A truck terminal was flattened and semis were scattered about like children's toys. The tornado now crossed Interstate 80, and as it did so, it seemed to intensify. It slammed full force into the Westgate residential area.
It comes so fast, it just comes from across the street and then drops.
We sent these companies, they checked the area and found no one working.
Homes and belongings were scattered. The Westgate Elementary School, located on a hill near 78th and Haskell, was virtually destroyed. Continuing in a more northerly direction, the storm struck Bergen Mercy Hospital around 4:40. Damage there was estimated at $7 million. The self-care wing was demolished. From this point, the storm headed toward the intersection of 74th and Pacific, where it claimed its first life. A 23-year-old waitress at a nearby restaurant was killed when a water main collapsed and pinned her here in the structure. She drowned in just a few inches of water. The huge Seidel's warehouse sustained incredible damage, as these aerial shots clearly depict. The tornado was now moving north up 72nd Street, where it discriminately destroyed some homes and businesses while leaving others untouched.
Well, I was driving down 72nd. I was to 74th, and then all of a sudden, the tornado, I was just right in the center of it. It picked my car up and must have just turned over, and it threw me on Seidel's parking lot. That's all I remember.
Near 70th and Dodge, it plowed through the Downtowner Motel, where most tenants managed to seek shelter in the basement. One didn't make it. A 23-year-old man was trapped outside. By the time he reached safety, he collapsed and stopped breathing. Another man revived him with mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. As the tornado continued northward, hundreds of homes were destroyed. A church, synagogue, playhouse, businesses, and 2 more schools. By the time the storm reached the Benson area, 2 more people were killed. A woman whose house was destroyed on North 70th, and a man at a gas station near 69th Street in Maple. He was struck by and impaled by a flying board. The storm finally lifted around Ames Avenue near the Benson Golf Course. The storm's toll was staggering. 3 dead, over 200 injured, and more than 2,400 residential units were either destroyed or damaged along the storm's 9-mile path. At the same time, 153 businesses and 23 industrial units sustained at least some damage. And these figures do not include the schools that sustained heavy damage, a post office, a major hospital, and so on. The Omaha tornado has been labeled one of the most powerful in terms of property damage to ever strike a direct blow upon a major city. As bad as it was, it could have been much worse. Much worse. Consider the following, all of which worked favorably for our city. 3 schools suffered heavy damage, but classes had already been dismissed for the day. The tornado hit major intersections, but the evening rush hour was not yet in full swing. At the Ak-Sar-Ben racetrack, more than 8,000 people were in attendance as the storm passed just to the west, a very near miss. The spotter network performed with excellence as they detected the storm before it reached the city limits. At the same time, the tornado was confirmed on radar. As a result, the warning system was activated nearly 20 minutes before the storm hit. And perhaps most importantly, the sirens worked, something we should never take for granted. According to some tornado researchers, this storm, which was 600 yards wide, had wind speeds that approached and may even have exceeded 200 miles an hour. That kind of storm has the potential to kill many more, such as in Xenia, Ohio. That storm was of the same scale back in 1974. And the Wichita Falls, Texas storm of 1979 was also a comparable storm. It killed 44 people.